So today I'm here at Hamsey Church. I thought I'd finally come and show everybody and try and explain some of the things that I've been talking about in the book and on the Instagram page and on YouTube. But basically this section right here is the original section of Hamsey Church, and these two, the tower there and this section at the end, were added on sometime in the 14th century, like 1307 we think. Or 1309 or 6, somewhere around them. I'm not quite sure. You're gonna have to forgive me on dates. There's so many, it's a bit complicated. But this original section is the bit that we're interested in, really. That is possibly Templar in origin, and that is too. It was definitely built at the time that they were sort of ending their lives, and I've found some quite interesting links to the people that are to do with the Templars. But today we're going to have a look here. So why is this church so interesting? Well, the first thing we need to know is that King one of the last Anglo Saxon kings, held his witans here. So he walked through that door. Well, maybe not that one, but, but that archway, and many other incredibly important people have been walking through and up to this church for many years. You're walking in the footsteps of greatness here. And then what I find incredibly interesting is this stained glass window here. And the reason I find that interesting is this part up here. Now at the bottom here it says that there's a woman called Mary Sturgis, who apparently found these shards of glass and put them together and did this. It seems a bit strange to me, but I'm wondering if this part is original and this is the part they're talking about that she made this thing out of. But this, I'll talk about this later on. We need to see it from inside to understand why I think that might be original. But then anyway, it's an incredibly amazing place, and I can't see it from here. I'll show you the hill in a minute. But the reason this is so impressive and important is because this place is called Hamsey. Now this is one of the reasons anyway, and Hamsey comes from, it was originally called Ham. Ham is where we get our word home from, and there are only so many Ham with no sort of end, it's not as an ending of their name. So like you've got Birmingham, Nottingham. That basically Ham means a meadow in the bend of a river, or a settlement in the bend of a river, but it became our word for home. And so it was like it was Notting's home or Birmingham's home, but there are so many different Anglo Saxon kings that you've got so many different Ham ending names. But they're all from Anglo Saxon origins, and a lot of our towns are also Anglo Saxon in origin. But here we have the end of the church. Anyway, the reason that that's important is that Ham is, there are only a few of them, and they're all in Sussex. And interesting, Sussex itself gets its name from the word South Saxon, Siax. That, looking out over the bridge now, but you've got hills surrounding this absolutely incredible place. So the question is, you've got a Ham that comes from the Anglo-Saxons, you've got Athelstan being the king that held his witans here, that's known to have happened. And why would he hold his witans here is the question we want to ask when it's in the middle of nowhere. And the reason for that is because Hamsey used to actually be a very significant and very important seaport. And it was actually more important than Lewes, which eventually became sort of the hub of the sort of trading commerce around this area. But bearing in mind there is only this church here and one building over there, why was this place so important? There's no signs of any villages. You have Offham, which is a bit further over the that way, towards the distance, and that I think comes from Offa's Ham. Offa was another very important Anglo-Saxon king. You probably know about Offa's Dyke. So we've got all these links to all these incredible Anglo-Saxons and nothing here. So why was this place so important? So we have to start asking that question, and why did he hold his witans here? And the reason was because it was a seaport, and the river that we currently see surrounding Lewes and Hamsey is tiny in comparison to what the old tidal estuary used to be. Okay, right, here we are on the other side of the, I don't know if we'll be able to get to see through to the stained glass window. Let's see if it focuses. Not looking good. I've got some pictures of it I'll try and send over. Right, anyway, It's that tiny little blue dot there that makes this interesting. And the fact that on the inside of this arch window, there's an actual huge arch, which is, I think it's supposed to be English in origin from the 13th or 14th century, but it doesn't go anywhere. And it's directly opposite this strange stained glass window. So we'll talk about all of that later. But this is, under there, is where I'm interested in. And we've got some interesting things here. There's another old sort of tomb, a strange arch with no sign for what that did on the inside of the church. There's some quite cool gargoyle up the top here. But these, interesting point, these sort of towers were where the Templars, or where a lot of people used to keep their vaults underneath it. And there are indeed vaults under this church. There's 3 or more. And right under the altar, I don't know if we can see through here, maybe, on the floor down there are 3 enormous flagstones. Those flagstones have absolutely nothing written on them. The other tomb entrances do, and they're all set in the floor. So I'm wondering what's in there, or what's under there. That would be very interesting to find out. But really, where I'm standing right now, it could be one of the most important places in Britain, but I need to get some proof of that. So I'm sort of trying to get the information out there and get more people to start looking into these possibilities, because it's just utterly astonishing what could have been forgotten here. See if I can get a little look inside here for you. Don't know if you can see much through there. There we go. So now the altar sits just down there, but I am wondering if it once stood somewhere else. So I'll talk about that again at some other time. But anyway, I wanted to just do a quick video so that people had a rough idea of where I am, what I'm looking at, why it's more interesting than people have given it credit for. The other thing that you need to actually see quickly, it's very important indeed, is that whilst this looks like a very flat piece of land, there is an enormous drop off on this other side. It might not be that clear. Don't know how much we can see down here, but this is a very, very steep bank, and over there you might be able to see the current Ouse River. So I'm thinking that it flooded this entire plain right up to where these cows are, maybe right even down to the foot of where this bank ends. And it was perhaps an enormous this is a very important point. It's described, Hamsey, there's not very much information on it, but it's described as being an island during the Anglo Saxon period, and that's just absolutely not true. The reason it's an island is because of a Hamsey cut was made, which is a sort of channel basically that was supposed to shorten the navigable route through the Lewes Valley, but was never used for some reason, and then that turned it into an island, but that was undertaken in the 1750s. So up until that point, Hamsey was a promontory of the mainland, and that's an incredibly important point, because we keep working on the basis that in the Anglo-Saxon times Hamsey was an island. We kind of lost before we started, so that's not true. This was a big promontory of the mainland surrounded by the sea, which was a vast tidal sea channel, and this church would have been, you could have just stepped off on the port somewhere over there. If the port, even the port isn't known where it was, but it's somewhere around here. You have Offham Hill over there, Offers Hill. You have Morling Hill over this side. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and come out. That's Morling Hill over there, and that, I wonder if there was once a big hill fort up there. Underneath that you have Stoneham. That field over there was once an Anglo-Saxon pagan burial ground, which is an incredibly important thing. Again, they're currently doing roadworks over there, which is a bit tragic, but that's also kind of been hushed up, and there's not much left there. This is where I've been doing my metal detecting with permissions, and have found a lot of my stuff that's just been left on the tops of the ground. But when you're finding like the odd Roman coin over there, and you know that beyond those trees there's big fields, you know that other Roman finds have been found there. We also know that right over the other side of Hamsey, there were Roman burials on the edge of Lewes. There was a Roman fibula found in the right at the foot of Morling Hill over there in a valley, and this is all available information, and the Roman settlements are available, you know, to know about possible Roman settlements, they're saying now. That's all on the HER if you want to have a look at that. And some of the information on here, but there's something that I think is that this could possibly be Clofesho. I don't know if anybody knows about Clofesho, but Clofesho is a forgotten meeting place of the Anglo Saxon kings. And so now we've spoken about Ham, we're going to be talking about a lot more different types of the etymology of the areas around here. So maybe tomorrow, maybe in the next couple of days, I'm going to go over to Kingston, the ton or the farm of the kings of the South Saxons, which is just on the other side of Lewes. And we're going to have a little look up on that hill and at Kingston itself, and on some other very interesting possibilities also involving King Aethelstan. So hope that's all been very interesting to you, or not. I'll hopefully speak to you soon. This is my dog Pig. Take care, bye bye.